Please subscribe, like and share this content. It means a lot to us. Thank you in advance. U.C.C. Article 9. Secured Transactions. Part 3. Perfection in Priority. Subpart 3. Priority. Paragraph 9 334. Priority of security interests in fixtures and crops. A. Security interest in fixtures under this article. A security interest under this article may be created in goods that are fixtures or may continue in goods that become fixtures. A security interest does not exist under this article in ordinary building materials incorporated into an improvement on land. B. Security interest in fixtures under real property law. This article does not prevent creation of an encumbrance upon fixtures under real property law. C. General rule. Subordination of security interest in fixtures. In cases not governed by subsections D through H, a security interest in fixtures is subordinate to a conflicting interest of an encumbrancer or owner of the related real property other than the debtor. D. Fixtures purchase money priority. Except as otherwise provided in subsection H, a perfected security interest in fixtures has priority over a conflicting interest of an encumbrancer or owner of the real property if the debtor has an interest of record in or is in possession of the real property and 1. The security interest is a purchase money security interest. 2. The interest of the encumbrancer or owner arises before the goods become fixtures. And 3. The security interest is perfected by a fixture filing before the goods become fixtures or within 20 days thereafter. E. Priority of security interest in fixtures over interests in real property. A perfected security interest in fixtures has priority over a conflicting interest of an encumbrancer or owner of the real property if 1. The debtor has an interest of record in the real property or is in possession of the real property and the security interest A is perfected by a fixture filing before the interest of the encumbrancer or owner is of record, and B has priority over any conflicting interest of a predecessor and title of the encumbrancer or owner. 2. Before the goods become fixtures, the security interest is perfected by any method permitted by this article and the fixtures are readily removable. A. Factory or office machines. B. Equipment that is not primarily used or leased for use in the operation of the real property. Or C. Replacements of domestic appliances that are consumer goods. 3. The conflicting interest is a lien on the real property obtained by legal or equitable proceedings after the security interest was perfected by any method permitted by this article. Or 4. The security interest is A. Created in a manufactured home in a manufactured home transaction, and B. Perfected pursuant to a statute described in Section 9, 311A2. F. Priority based on consent, disclaimer, or right to remove. A security interest in fixtures, whether or not perfected, has priority over a conflicting interest of an encumbrancer or owner of the real property if 1. The encumbrancer or owner has, in an authenticated record, consented to the security interest or disclaimed an interest in the goods as fixtures, or 2. The debtor has a right to remove the goods as against the encumbrancer or owner. G. Continuation of paragraph F2. Priority. The priority of the security interest under paragraph F2 continues for a reasonable time if the debtor's right to remove the goods as against the encumbrancer or owner terminates. H. Priority of construction mortgage. A mortgage is a construction mortgage to the extent that it secures an obligation incurred for the construction of an improvement on land, including the acquisition cost of the land, if a recorded record of the mortgage so indicates, except as otherwise provided in subsections E and F. A security interest in fixtures is subordinate to a construction mortgage if a record of the mortgage is recorded before the goods become fixtures and the goods become fixtures before the completion of the construction. A mortgage has this priority to the same extent as a construction mortgage to the extent that it is given to refinance a construction mortgage. I. Priority of security interest in crops. A perfected security interest in crops growing on real property has priority over a conflicting interest of an encumbrancer or owner of the real property if the debtor has an interest of record in or is in possession of the real property. J. Subsection I prevails. Subsection I prevails over any inconsistent provisions of the following statutes. List here any statutes containing provisions inconsistent with subsection I. Paragraph 9335. Accessions. A. Creation of security interest in accession. A security interest may be created in an accession and continues in collateral that becomes an accession. B. Perfection of security interest. If a security interest is perfected when the collateral becomes an accession, the security interest remains perfected in the collateral. C. Priority of security interest. Except as otherwise provided in subsection D, the other provisions of this part determine the priority of a security interest in an accession. D. Compliance with certificate of title statute. A security interest in an accession is subordinate to a security interest in the whole, which is perfected by compliance with the requirements of a certificate of title statute under section 9311b. E. Removal of accession after default. After default, subject to Part 6, a secured party may remove an accession from other goods if the security interest in the accession has priority over the claims of every person having an interest in the whole. F. Reimbursement following removal. A secured party that removes an accession from other goods under subsection E shall promptly reimburse any holder of a security interest or other lien on, or owner of, the whole or of the other goods, other than the debtor, for the cost of repair of any physical injury to the whole or the other goods. The secured party need not reimburse the holder or owner for any diminution in value of the whole or the other goods caused by the absence of the accession removed or by any necessity for replacing it. A person entitled to reimbursement may refuse permission to remove until the secured party gives adequate assurance for the performance of the obligation to reimburse. Paragraph 9336. Commingled goods. A. Commingled goods. In this section, commingled goods means goods that are physically united with other goods in such a manner that their identity is lost in a product or mass. B. No security interest in commingled goods as such. A security interest does not exist in commingled goods as such. However, a security interest may attach to a product or mass that results when goods become commingled goods. C. Attachment of security interest to product or mass. If collateral becomes commingled goods, a security interest attaches to the product or mass. D. Perfection of security interest. If a security interest in collateral is perfected before the collateral becomes commingled goods, the security interest that attaches to the product or mass under subsection C is perfected. E. Priority of security interest. Except as otherwise provided in subsection F, the other provisions of this part determine the priority of a security interest that attaches to the product or mass under subsection C. F. Conflicting security interest in product or mass. If more than one security interest attaches to the product or mass under subsection C, the following rules determine priority. 1. A security interest that is perfected under subsection D has priority over a security interest that is unperfected at the time the collateral becomes commingled goods. 2. If more than one security interest is perfected under subsection D, the security interests rank equally in proportion to the value of the collateral at the time it became commingled goods. Paragraph 9337. Priority of security interests in goods covered by certificate of title. If, while a security interest in goods is perfected by any method under the law of another jurisdiction, the state issues a certificate of title that does not show that the goods are subject to the security interest or contain a statement that they may be subject to security interest not shown on the certificate. 1. A buyer of the goods, other than a person in the business of selling goods of that kind, takes free of the security interest if the buyer gives value and receives delivery of the goods after issuance of the certificate and without knowledge of the security interest. And 2. The security interest is subordinate to a conflicting security interest in the goods that attaches, and is perfected under section 9311b after issuance of the certificate and without the conflicting secured party's knowledge of the security interest. Paragraph 9338. Priority of security interest or agricultural lien perfected by filed financing statement providing certain incorrect information. Primary tabs. If a security interest or agricultural lien is perfected by a filed financing statement providing information described in Section 9516(b)(5), which is incorrect at the time the financing statement is filed. 1. The security interest or agricultural lien is subordinate to a conflicting perfected security interest in the collateral to the extent that the holder of the conflicting security interest gives value in reasonable reliance upon the incorrect information, and 2. A purchaser, other than a secured party, of the collateral takes free of the security interest or agricultural lien to the extent that, in reasonable reliance upon the incorrect information, the purchaser gives value and, in the case of chattel paper, documents, goods, instruments, or a security certificate, receives delivery of the collateral. Paragraph 9339. Priority subject to subordination. This article does not preclude subordination by agreement by a person entitled to priority.